In the previous video, we have seen an overview of circular queue. In this video, we will see how to implement circular queue in JavaScript. So I'll declare a class called circular queue and I'll initialize it using a constructor and I'll pass a size to it and I'll say this dot size is equal to size and I'll have an items array with a fixed size equal to new array of size and I'll have another variable to store the current size, that is how many items are stored in this queue. So this property is not mandatory. You may not see this property used in few implementations, but this makes the implementation easier. And obviously we will have rear and front. So front and rear will point to -1 here since we do not have any elements in the queue to start with. So as always, we will have this isEmpty method. So since we have this current size, we can use it. We don't have to compare any rear or front or anything. We just check if it is 0, then we just return true. Otherwise, we return false. Also, we need to check is full since the queue size is limited. Here again, we check if this dot current size is equal to this dot size, that is the total size, then we return true, else return false. Next is enqueue. I'll pass an item. So first we need to check if the queue is full. If it is full, we'll just console our queue is full. We'll not insert anything. Or else we need to first increment the rear. Rear is pointing at -1. We will make it point to 0. So that will be this dot rear equal to this dot rear plus 1. Then we insert the item at rear and we need to increment this current size. We have inserted an element, so we increment it by 1. Then one more thing is, since the front is pointing to -1 when we are inserting the first element, we need to point the front as well to the 0th index. So how do we do that? We just check if this dot front is equal to -1, then we just point this dot front is equal to where our rear is pointing to. So that's about NQ. We will come back to this. There is an issue here. We will see what is the issue later. Next is DQ. In DQ, first check if queue is empty. Then we can just return null, indicating there is nothing in the queue. Otherwise, get the item from the front of the queue. That is this dot items of this dot front. Then we need to update front to null to remove the item at the front, and we will increment the front. This dot front is equal to this dot front plus 1. Then we reduce the size is equal to. Finally, in the dequeue operation, if you're going back to this situation where there are no elements in the queue, then we need to point rear and front to -1. So we just check if this dot is empty, that is after dequeuing. If the queue has become empty, then we point this dot front is equal to -1 and this dot rear is equal to -1. So this is done so that whenever we insert after a queue has been emptied, we insert at the 0th index. We don't insert at the random index. So that's why we have this section of the code. Then finally, we need to return the dequeued item. The last method is the print. I will have an elements array where I'll be pushing it to all the elements and printing it in the end. So let us go ahead and print this. So first we need to start from the front and go until rear. So I'll do a for loop where I will start from this dot front and I not equal to rear. Once we reach rear, we need to stop. And how will we increment? So we can just write I is equal to I plus 1. But the problem here is once we reach the fifth index, we need to go to the 0th index. If we just write I is equal to I plus 1, it will go to the sixth index. So we can use the modulus operator here. I is equal to I plus 1 modulus of this dot size. So what we'll do, once it reaches 5, it will increment by 1. So it will be 6. 6 modulus, the size is 6 here. 6 modulus 6 will be 0. So it will point to here. So we got the element here and this is this dot items. So I'll just push it to the element array. And we haven't inserted the rear element here. We just checked I is not equal to rear. That means it will come until here only. So we need to push the rear element as well to the array. So I'll just push items of this dot rear. And finally I'll print it and I'll just join it with a comma and I'll create a new circular queue of size 6, enqueue. Size is 6. I'll try enqueuing maybe 7 elements and see what happens. So as you can see, it has inserted only 6 elements. Whenever we wanted to insert the last element, it said queue is full. Now let us dequeue. I print dequeued queue dot dequeue. It dequeued 10 and one more dequeue I'll do, and I'll just print the queue. It's printing 30, 40, 50, 60, 10 and 20 is dequeued here, and as you can see 70 is not queued, so I'll unqueue 70 and I'll just print the queue. As you can see, the 70 is not queued and we got this error. So it says JavaScript invalid error. This is nothing but we went out of memory. So why did we go out of memory? This is because we are just incrementing rare here. So here also the same case of print applies, because once we cross the last index, we need to go to the first index. We should not increment it. So while enqueuing, we need to enqueue it to the 0th index. So same code, we need to check the modulus here. So once it has inserted to the 5th index, we need to insert it to the 0th index. So as you can see, the bug is fixed, and first we enqueued 6 elements, then the queue was full, then we dequeued to 10 and 20, and the current queue is 30, 40, 50 and 60, and finally we were able to enqueue 70 as well. And we can just print the rear and front and see where they are pointing to. Rear is this dot rear and front is this dot front. So when the queue is full, the rear will point to 5, which is true in our case here, and the front will point to 0. Then we will dequeue couple of items. After dequeuing, the rear will point to 5 and front will point to 2. And again we will enqueue. Now the rear points to 0 and the front points to 2. So that is how circular queue is implemented. I know it's a bit complex than the stack and the normal queue. You can go ahead and watch the video again and add some loggers and debug it to understand it better. That's it about queue. In the next video, we will see linked list. Thank you for watching. Hope you're liking this series. If you are liking, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you in the next one.